Professionally, I am a telecom engineer. I've actually, as you say, intentionally gone through a quite transformational career growth until I'm here. I've moved all the way from the technical telecom part all the way to being now selling to what I thought would have been my job probably in the past. So I will look clearly from Helios Towers in terms of ecosystem and the inclusion. We totally strive to a point we even include as a KPI in our strategic 5 years plan, which is supposed to be ending in 2026, just for the first part. We look at it in different ways. So we have people in terms of talent acquisition, attraction, how we nurture and how we build the talent within the company, as well as like the graduate, as Kokisa said in the morning, we do graduate interns. So this is actually for the industry to consume and as well as us internally when we have opportunities. And in this, we look at in terms of able and disabled. So this is more in terms of actually looking throughout, empowering women within our organization so that they can actually move to different positions. We train people, including our third party. As we said, we depend on them so much. So we do extend this kind of training so that we can have that kind of productivity all the way, because we depend on them to also work with us. So I will end there and we'll continue later.
Thanks, Rachael. Okay, thank you. So I'm Rachael Shitanda, Head of Product for Mentorlst, a tech company that deals with the developing of products around EdTech. And so I lead a team of developers, designers, analysts, and stuff like that. And I think one of the things that I have to point out is as a small startup company that is starting out, one of the key policies that we have as a company is mostly inclusion, and that is generally everyone. So there is opportunity for the young people in our organization to grow. We also develop products that are centered around accessibility, inclusion, and also in all aspects, including children, including the youth, including people with disability, and stuff like that. So also there's a policy we have where we don't discriminate when it comes to maybe the physical attributes and the location, the culture, because it's an international company that is centered around giving access and having a wide range of skill sets. And so we value ourselves into giving opportunities in STEM, irrespective of your background, irrespective of the sex and other things. So I have to say, as an individual, I'm very honored to be in my position, and also I am aware that it's also something that it's a challenge for a lot of companies to develop skills and also to develop women around tech. But then it's also something that has to be said in this room, that it's a success story that the three of us are here, meaning that we have shown resilience and also we have shown quality of work, that we're able to come and address you, and also we're able to lead teams of very, very interested and very talented individuals in tech. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much to both of you. So, Togani, I'm going to start with you. I have seen statistics saying that we are actually doing a great job of getting women in engineering programs, in science, and getting them to graduate. However, we only see them in the careers for the first 5 years. Something is happening at these workplaces that is not making sure that we are retaining the investment in telling them to go towards STEM careers and STEM education. Can you shed some light on what you believe is happening in the workplace that we are not getting right, or what it is that we are getting right for those who are actually staying and continuing to pursue careers, especially in digital technology?
Thank you. I believe I will speak from my point of view, but at the same time also cite some examples in terms of what we're doing within Helios Towers today. I believe what is not happening is building confidence of these women coming into the STEM industry, because as we all understand, that the challenge in the STEM industry is like it's quite male dominated. It means you really need to find a way to fit in and belong. So that's one of the things. But at the same time also, the opportunities are quite limited in terms of what is required to actually do. For example, if I give myself an example, as a telecom engineer, when it's a male and it's a female, it's a different situation altogether if we have to go in the middle of nowhere and do work or things. Sometimes there is this understanding whereby someone feels like a woman cannot do it, but given a chance, these women can prosper. A very clear example in Helios, the zone coastal, which is including Zanzibar, it's around 40% of our whole portfolio, is headed by a woman, and she's doing a great job. She's an engineer. She's been given that opportunity. She's doing wonders. So it means if they're given that opportunity, they can really do things beyond what people feels like. Same as our group head of operation. She's also a woman doing, it's quite complex, our business and what is required in terms of what we're supposed to be delivering. So I think the whole idea is like giving them the opportunity and actually providing them with that comfort that things can always happen and just bridge that gender gap that we always have.
Then we have the women who are confident and are often told they are too much. I think we experience a lot of that online. Some have gone to call it a form of gendered disinformation that actually happens online, where it feels like the women who are outspoken, who are out there, somehow are punished for being outspoken and out there. But why do you think this is affecting the tech sector the most? I mean, this confidence issue can't be just limited to women who are working in STEM alone. We have probably some similar situations in other sectors. What is it that the tech sector needs to do better to be able to retain women and create an enabling environment for women in particular to thrive in the sector, so that it's not just the few women that she's quoting us, but others are able to see that, yes, we can hire women in this area. Also, women can speak at these conferences, so that when we are putting together our panels, it's not a male, all-male panel, that women can also bring a perspective, the same way that we are here talking about technology infrastructure. What is it that we need to start getting right or tweaking in these organizations?
So I think I have to mention that one of the biggest things that is affecting all this, and one of the biggest factors is mostly culture. And it all narrows down to culture within our own communities, culture within organizations. And so if you nurture a culture which is inclusive within an organization that is centered around motivating, empowering, and also seeing the skills and appreciating people coming out and voicing their opinion, then I think it all changes the narrative. So I think if you have a culture that is a bit strenuous and constricting when it comes to voicing of opinion and also sharing knowledge, then you have a community of employees that do not know how to contribute or to give feedback, or they don't know how to voice their opinion or come up with an idea or talk about something inventive or a solution of a problem that you have. So it all narrows down to culture, mindset, and policies that you put around your organization pertaining sharing, pertaining inclusion, yeah.
Great. So I'm going to ask the audience to give us examples of how your workplace creates a culture of inclusion. Just some examples and highlights of what happens at your workplace to make sure that people who are different than the norm of what we see are actually included. Do you have an equal pay policy? Do you actually pay women with the same background, education, and experience equal to men? Do you have a transparent payment policy? Do you make sure that you have mentorship in your organization? So I'd love to hear what's actually happening in workplaces around inclusion and enabling a culture of inclusion and promotion as well of women and those from disadvantaged backgrounds, to make sure that we are truly not just advancing meaningful connectivity and closing divides in society, but we are also modeling it from within our organizations as well. So anyone just pop up.
That's a great question, yeah. So let's get at least 2 or 3 responses from the audience in terms of what you're doing organizationally for diversity.
Good evening, everyone. Do you want to start? Good evening, everyone. So my name is Esther Mengi. I'm a CEO of a tech company, an IT company. And we have been facing similar issues. Before, I used to think, oh, ladies were not given so much opportunities. But recently, we advertised for some job positions. And then most of the CVs I was getting, it was mainly men. So you'd find you have 40 CVs and only 2 are ladies. And then you'd give ladies the benefit of a doubt and invite them for an interview. And then one shows up, another one doesn't show up for the interview. So now it's not the issue of not given equal opportunities or equal chances, it's the issue of shying away from such opportunities and feeling maybe because of the culture or maybe of getting so much rejections in the past, people tend to go to seemingly easier career than pursuing the tech career. So I think that's one of the main issues we face in our industry. Thank you.
And then I'll come to you, yeah, on the other side.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paul. I run a company, service provider in tech. So yeah, just kind of to build on the previous point from a slightly different angle, I do have a personal bias to try and skew towards traditionally more disadvantaged people. However, I do feel meritocracy is really key. I think when we talk about inclusion, a lot of times we talk about how do we make sure we include the unincluded, but I think everything should be merit-based, and it kind of sets these groups back when you promote them or you give them an opportunity and you know they're not ready for it. Yeah, they end up not succeeding in those roles, and they kind of perpetuate the stereotypes of their inability or lack of capacity to deliver in different professional capacities. So I think meritocracy is the word I'd leave there.
Someone else had their hand up here? Yeah.
Hello, so my name is Ellen Lopili. I'm from Helios Towers, Senior Sales Account Manager. And you asked us to cite examples. I would like to bring a very personal example. I have a 5-month-old, and she's here with me. And the company saw that they should not exclude me just because I've just come back from maternity leave. And this is an important platform for me to continue to grow. They made it possible for me to come here and bring my daughter and provide for that. Now, I understand not a lot of companies can do that. By the way, not just me, even my colleague here, Gloria, has her son, who is 1 year and 2 months. also here at the conference. So kudos to Helios Towers for providing it. If more companies were able to provide, not leave behind women just because they become mothers or they've just gotten married and exclude them and thinking that, okay, we need to give them a break for maybe a couple of years before they advance. You ask an important question, what happens to these women? Maybe it could be they become mothers, they become wives, and then they step back thinking that I can't take this opportunity because I need to give myself a break and I'm unable to move forward. So that's just a personal example. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Can we take one more? There's one more hand at the back here. Yes.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nabil Hermina from Radi Fiber Manufacture. And maybe the majority from here, nobody know. We have a fiber factory in Tanzania here, in Dar es Salaam. Fiber optic with all the accessory. And Mama Samia, she opened it last year, and she gave us big pushing for this one. Back again to our subject, I'm proud, I'm Nabil Hermina, the COO for Radi Fiber. And to tell you, half from, maybe more, from the factory employer is beautiful lady. Okay? Engineer, young. We training him very good. He can manufacture fiber in Tanzania. The lady, the woman. She can manufacture, and we training from abroad. Chinese come here and we bring expatriates, and he training him now, no more expatriate. I'm Egyptian, Tanzanian. I'm proud for this also. Okay? That's why I want to tell you, for this opportunity, we have a lot of engineer and technician lady in Radi Fiber solution. Thank you.
Fantastic, thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks, Monica.
And those were really great examples from what we hear a lot, that women tend to apply for jobs that they know or think they can get, whereas mostly men will apply for jobs even when the spec doesn't fully, they don't fully meet what's on the specs in terms of their background, their education and all of that. So this goes back to the issue around confidence that you brought up, right? All the way to creating an enabling environment. I think the example we got from Helios is about being intentional about creating this environment. There is absolutely no reason for meetings like these to not have I have a 27-year-old child now who, well, she's still a child, I'm not sure, but a 27-year-old adult former child who grew up going to meetings with me because the professional meetings I went to had a daycare provided at the meeting in order to enable that. So really thinking about that, but also let's be disruptive for a minute. How about forcing the men to take paternity leave? Because that will actually force the mindset as well in the workplace around the fact that we don't make these babies by ourselves. They have mothers and fathers, and creating this mindset of equality and space and support for the family as well in the workplace. I think it's really important. But I think that last intervention was also quite important in the sense that when you have leadership, I don't know how to put this diplomatically, but well, I guess the most polite would be to say the fish rots from the head, right? So, but there's another less colorful saying that says, all ish flows downhill. I won't say the other issue, imagine it. But to basically say that it really comes from the top. It's about leadership. When you have leadership, whether politically, that emphasizes the value of gender equality and equality in general, that tends to trickle down to other layers of society, of organizations, of businesses. And I think having the leadership that Tanzania has had, for example, has really, I think I tweeted this morning that this is the first time in a tech conference that there is 2 women in the opening plenary on stage, because usually those are the ministerial positions. But today we actually sat in a room and there was a balanced opening plenary that was public officials. And that's something to be said about the kind of leadership direction that Tanzania has set for itself from the presidency flowing and forced all the way down. So yes, please, I think it's definitely worth taking a look at. But, and that kind of brings us here. If you could share what has been a game changer for you in terms of being able to have resilience and not jump off and go be a teacher, which, you know, all of us, I mean, these days I dream about just teaching English online just to get away from it all. But what has been the big changer for you, big game changer for you in terms of just being resilient and staying in this sector, despite the challenges that we know women have in these careers?
Okay, so for me, I think one of the things that has been a game changer for me is just realizing that I have to be my best. As an individual, I don't put the narrative of being a woman as the first thing that comes in the mind. I just say, as Rachael, there is things that I need to achieve as an individual. I need to do this. People are looking up on me to make decisions that are guiding the company, guiding policies, guiding success stories, and also guiding when there is actual failure and how do I come out of that. So as an individual, there is always that thing that is behind my mind. I have to be the best of myself. And also as a person, I also want other people to emulate. As we've said, there is merits, okay?
Yeah.
I don't want to have something that is handed over to me for the basis of just being a woman. I want it to be handed to me because I actually qualified for it. I am educated enough. I am always upskilling my skills, and I am staying connected and stuff like that. So having a mindset of always wanting to be the best of your own self has always kept me on toes. Yeah, always looking for things for trainings, always networking enough, always researching on new trends and policies when it comes to adoption of technology, when it comes to new technologies and languages or frameworks that are being used, so that if I go to an interview, they don't give me a job because they're like, you're a woman, you're the only one who was qualified as a woman, so there's this guy who is more qualified, but we're just giving you just to have that, it's called the millennial goals, yeah, the affirmative action part. It's very bad to be in a place where you are in a pity party. You need to be outside there and show what you can actually deliver in terms of value.
Great. Thank you so much for that, because that brings us to the third intervention we had from the floor, and I was going to come back to it. And that is, there are qualified women, and women care about merit just as much. So I think there should be no hesitation from that point of view as to whether they are qualified, whether they can do the job. Given an opportunity, controlling for everything else, women can also do the job, and we have plenty examples, I think, that show that women are actually capable and have the qualifications and the capacity to actually perform at these levels. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. For me personally, I think it's the passion that I had to be in this industry. So there is a self-drive, but I've got a lot of support, and I think I've been privileged to be in those intentional organizations because I've got a lot of support. And to be honest, I would say it's all coming from men, because I've actually worked with them. They've actually identified my capabilities. They've actually given me the platform to grow. So it's a combination. So because I had a self-drive, then I had a support. So it means it's quite important for, I would say, generally, the platform should be there intentionally, not like the way Rachael said, it shouldn't be like you're given just because we need to reach a certain percentage of female representation in the company, but it's more of like also the support and the environment, because I think it's important for that. Even though you're the best, if the environment doesn't work, then we leave to those percentage of women who doesn't stay. So I think that's the game changer for me. So it's a combination.
So the support and whether it's the he for she, but I think what's important in that is the role of men who are currently mostly in the leadership and majority of the sector. There has to be a change in the role of men. We recently did a study that looks at the cost of exclusion, looking at the economic impact, and it actually pains me to feel like we have to actually make a business case for including women in digital development. But sometimes in certain areas and certain sectors, that's the only way that we actually begin to pay attention is, the numbers people, right? So the cost of exclusion right now is costing billions in economies by not being able to be inclusive in our approach towards bringing women into the sector. And I think the biggest danger stands as, I don't know how many times this morning we heard the word digital economy. So it means that we could potentially be building yet another economy that does not include everyone in it. And so the cost of exclusion becomes even more important when we talk about digitization at the rate at which Africa is digitizing, but also when we talk about the digital economy, because it's almost, I think for those of you who love soccer, I would like to basically say that we have a very wonderful, a great team that can play, but we are choosing to bench half of our team and still expecting to win. Not possible. I think for all of society, for all of our economies to win, it's going to be important to develop a digital inclusion strategy that looks at gender inclusion. I recently was part of an effort to assist Pakistan in developing a gender inclusion strategy for digital in Pakistan. And this requires regulators as well, for regulators to be intentional around this and begin to ask for gender segregated data from operators and other players in the space, because we can't fix what we have not measured and what we don't know. We might actually not have a problem, but we actually do know that we have a problem. And I think that one thing that I would like to leave with us is that we need to understand just how vast this is and begin to intentionally close the gap. Africa is the only continent amongst the 3 continents that I study where the digital gender divide is actually widening as opposed to closing. And there's a lot of factors on this. And part of them are actually also in terms of who is running the industry and is the intention coming from there, but also who is running our governments, and is there a political will and intentionality to ensure an inclusive ecosystem for these. So unless, yes, I see there's a question from the floor or comment.
Yeah, hi. This is Mohammed Abdurrahim, the CEO of Togani Security. During my career, I did hire hundreds of people. And I believe the problem actually in including women or empowering women or enabling the women is not the problem of inclusion or not. To be honest, this is the problem of the HRMS and how we are hiring people or including people. I met a couple of women leaders who really hate to call it like empowering women or enabling. But usually when we hire people, we hire based on qualifications, which is the artificial intelligence. And because we decided that men are more intelligent than women, then we do this in filtration. Unfortunately, we should hire based on emotional intelligence, not in artificial intelligence. And in many cases, women is the only like perfect candidate for some subjects or let's say some jobs, but we don't do this. So I believe from the HR system, hiring people, before even thinking about including them, hiring people, the HR leaders in every organization should develop like a framework based on what they will hire for this job, which should not be based on artificial intelligence or qualification. I can tell you, for example, I did many researches actually to hire one guy to do CMDB, Configuration Management Database. And I hired around 9 men, they couldn't do it. And then I realized that this type of business, this type of job, need to be hired by, need to be fulfilled by a lady, because mentally they are, and professionally, they do things like connecting things. We don't have it as a man, to be honest, or rarely. So some jobs need to be identified as only women can do this. And then we filter which women, or who's the one who's doing this. And I can get many examples regarding this. So the problem, to be honest, it's not inclusion or not, it's based on what we are hiring. We're filtering based on qualification, but we are deciding based on emotional. I like ladies, I put them, I don't like, I don't. And if there is like numbers I need to fulfill, I put ladies, not. This is the problem.
Very interesting. And another day, perhaps a conversation around STEM or STEAM, the value of bringing an arts and culture and arts and humanities orientation into our STEM education focus. Any final comments from either one of you or both of you, please feel free.
I think I'll go first. I have to say what you've said is it narrows down to the unconscious bias that we all have. Irrespective of either gender, we all have those unconscious biasness that we tend to associate with certain people or certain cultures or certain genders. So it's all about us doing what is due diligence, as you've said, looking at the merits and what exactly are we looking to achieve when it comes to hiring and firing. Also, we have to look inside ourselves as women to start taking up challenges and accepting roles that we feel sometimes they are overly the top. As we have said sometimes, as one of the CEOs over there said, most women don't tend to take up the roles and the challenges. They are afraid. They have been told so many times they can't do it. And so they put it in the back of their mind. They're like, okay, let me just go and be a receptionist. I'm not saying it's a bad career. Most of us have started from there. We have started from those odd jobs. But then we need to also, I'm talking this in a collective manner, not just women. We need to put ourselves in a position where we feel challenged and we feel like we can grow ourselves. So it's not about how qualified I am, because all of us are qualified. She's an engineer, I'm a software developer by profession. So it's all about what is in your head that is limiting you. It's just from within. And what is also in your head that is also making you not make the right decision as policy makers or hiring managers when it comes to job creation and when it comes to hiring of skills. So for me, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the key word which we're going out with is intention. So I think that's the key. And the challenge that I want to throw in for every one of us in this industry is, I believe, as we say, there is a culture barrier which is quite difficult if someone cannot push themselves out there. It's quite, we're quite privileged, and we should really be appreciative of where we are as we're standing in here, that we were able to come out and we don't shy away. So I think as industry in the STEM, we need to engage more, like for example, graduates, create that kind of an awareness. I'm very sure if I got maybe to see engineers coming when I was in uni, I would have actually probably things different, but I threw myself because there was a passion. So what about the ones who do not have that drive? So we need to be intentional. We could do this kind of sessions, go to university, encourage women. They can see the real things, like we're standing, we're human beings, we've been there, we've got somewhere. It will encourage them really to go into that industry. So I think we need to get that intention and really to go and emphasize into the outer world so that tomorrow the generation doesn't discuss this anymore, like talking about culture and everything. So we need to kill that gap from that level. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. Thanks, everyone. And I think my final challenge to all of us here is next year when you come to Connect, look at your organization and think about how you can expand who you are engaging in these kinds of conversations that is more inclusive than what we have been so far. So similar to what Helios has done, what is it that you can do in your own organization to begin to grow your own timber in your organization? I'm sure there are rising stars in each of our offices, and that actually goes for myself as well. I think next year I'm going to give you a recommendation of who should speak, who should moderate, as opposed to us always saying, oh, but we're missing these voices and those voices. And I think that's, should be for all of us to really be intentional about including the necessary voices and making the change for digital equality from the top all the way down. Thank you.